have felt it for longer than you can explain. Long before you had language for it. Long before you understood why certain rooms went quiet when you entered. Long before people began calling you intense, different, hard to read, or too deep. There was already a mark on your life. You were never random. You were never ordinary. You were never meant to move through this world unnoticed, blending into systems that were built to reward imitation and punish spiritual depth. There is something on you that cannot be borrowed, copied, or manufactured. And the people around you feel it even when they do not have the words to describe what they are sensing. That is why your life has often felt unusual from the beginning. You noticed things other people ignored. You felt shifts before they happened. You sensed motives beneath smiles. You carried questions that did not sound like the questions of everyone else around you. Even in seasons when you tried to be simple, to be agreeable, to make yourself easier to understand, there remained a quiet difference within you that refused to disappear. It was not pride. It was not rebellion. It was not distance. It was recognition. Deep inside, your spirit knew you were being shaped for something more than performance, more than approval, more than the shallow rewards this world offers to those who silence what makes them distinct. There were moments when you wondered whether this difference was a burden. You may have asked why your road felt heavier, why your awareness felt sharper, why your heart could not rest in places where others seemed completely at ease. But what you called heaviness was often holy weight. What you called isolation was often separation with purpose. What you called confusion was often the beginning of discernment. You were being introduced to the truth that not everyone is built to carry what you carry. Not everyone is assigned to see what you see. Not everyone can walk with the same sensitivity and remain standing. Yet you are still here. You are still listening. You are still rising. That alone tells you something powerful about who you are. Beloved chosen one, your difference is not an accident of personality. It is evidence of assignment. There is a reason people project onto you so quickly. There is a reason some are inspired by you while others are irritated before you have even said much. There is a reason your presence can bring comfort to the sincere and discomfort to the false at the same time. Something in your life draws out truth. Your existence becomes a mirror. Your wisdom. Even when you speak softly, it begins to expose confusion in people who have spent years hiding behind noise. This is why you cannot measure yourself by ordinary standards. Your life has never followed ordinary rules. You have survived seasons that should have broken your confidence. And yet what came out of those seasons was not emptiness, but depth. You learned to hear beyond words. You learned to sit with silence without being frightened by it. You learned that not every delay is denial, and not every closed door is rejection. Some doors close because your calling cannot fit through spaces that were designed for smaller versions of you. Some people walk away because they were only assigned to witness one chapter, not the whole unfolding of your life. Some battles come not to destroy you, but to teach you what is in you. And what is in you is greater than you once believed. This is the moment to stop apologizing for what heaven placed in you. Stop shrinking so others can remain comfortable in their blindness. Stop calling your gift strange when it is sacred. Stop treating your depth like a flaw when it is one of the clearest signs that your life carries purpose. You were not made to echo the crowd. You were made to carry a sound that breaks confusion. You were made to embody a wisdom that causes people to pause, reconsider, and recognize that something higher is at work. Even when you have doubted yourself, that mark has remained. Even when you have been misunderstood, That mark has remained. Even when others tried to label you according to their limits, that mark has remained. And now you are entering a season where what has been hidden in you will no longer stay hidden. The strength you built in private is beginning to show. The clarity you gained through pain is beginning to sharpen. The authority that formed in silence is beginning to settle on your words, your decisions, your presence, and your path. This is why you must guard your mind carefully. When a person is marked for depth, distraction is one of the enemy's favorite weapons. Confusion tries to pull you off center. Exhaustion tries to make you question what you know. Familiar voices may try to reduce you to an older version of yourself because they are uncomfortable with the weight you now carry. But you cannot go back to being blind once your spirit has learned to see. So stand still for a moment and let this truth settle deep. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not too much. You are not an error in the story. You are marked different from the beginning. And that difference is becoming impossible to deny. The very thing that made others misread you will become the reason they remember you. The very thing that made some people dismiss you will become the proof that your life was touched by divine intention. What was planted in you was planted with precision. What was preserved in you was preserved for purpose. And what is rising in you now is not a trend, not an emotional moment, not a passing sense of motivation. It is recognition. It is alignment. It is the beginning of you seeing yourself the way heaven has seen you all along. If this message speaks directly to your spirit, comment 555 as your sign that you are ready to stop minimizing what God placed within you. You do not need to force your worth. You do not need to chase validation from people who cannot interpret what they did not create. You do not need to explain every layer of your calling to those committed to misunderstanding it. Your task in this hour is simpler and greater at the same time. Accept the mark, honor the difference, protect the wisdom forming in your life. Let your spirit come into agreement with what has always been true. You are set apart, not for vanity but for purpose, not for applause but for assignment, not to be admired from a distance, but to stand in truth with such clarity that even those who doubt you are forced to admit that your life carries something rare. And this is only the beginning. There is a kind of silence that many people misread the first time they encounter it. They think silence means uncertainty. They think it means hesitation, weakness, or a lack of confidence. But your silence carries a different weight. It is not the silence of emptiness. It is the silence of someone who sees deeper than what is being presented on the surface. It is the silence of discernment. It is the silence of a spirit that does not rush because it is already listening beneath the noise. You have noticed this about yourself for a long time. In conversations, you often say less than others. Yet somehow you understand more. In tense situations, you do not always react immediately. Yet you sense the truth before it fully reveals itself. People may assume they are reading you correctly because you are calm, but many of them have no idea that while they are performing, you are perceiving. While they are trying to impress, you are quietly weighing the atmosphere. While they are speaking carelessly, you are noticing the cracks in what they say. That is why your presence unsettles certain people. It is not because you are trying to intimidate them. It is because depth has a way of exposing what noise tries to hide. A person can control their image for a moment. They can polish their language, shape their expression, and manage how they appear. But when they stand in front of someone who carries quiet discernment, the mask begins to slip. Something in them realizes they are being seen past the surface. And even if you never say a word about it, they feel it. This is why Daniel becomes such a powerful mirror for what you carry. Daniel was not known first for volume. He was known for wisdom, restraint, spiritual clarity, and an inner life so anchored in God that even kings could not dismiss what rested on him. He lived in environments filled with power, pressure, ego, and hidden agendas. He stood among men who competed for influence. Yet Daniel's authority did not come from striving. It came from alignment. That matters for you because your life has also placed you in spaces where people are speaking loudly, moving quickly, and trying to prove themselves. Yet there is something in you that refuses to be pulled into that desperation. Even when you feel the pressure, there is a deeper part of you that knows not every battle needs your reaction. Not every room deserves your explanation. Not every challenge requires instant speech. Sometimes the greatest sign of wisdom is knowing how to remain still until the right moment opens. Daniel understood that. When confusion filled the kingdom, when others panicked because they could not solve what stood before them, Daniel did not collapse into their fear. He sought God. He quieted himself before heaven. He let wisdom come from a source higher than the anxiety around him. That is the difference between borrowed intelligence and divine insight. Borrowed intelligence depends on the room. Divine insight changes the room. You have lived enough life to know that people often underestimate what is quiet. They trust the loudest voice. They follow the most visible personality. They assume confidence must always sound forceful. But heaven has never worked that way. Again and again, God places weight in vessels that do not need to advertise themselves. Again and again, true wisdom arrives without spectacle. It speaks with calmness. And yet it leaves people with nothing to say because truth has a finality that performance can never imitate. Daniel carried that kind of finality. He did not need to wrestle for recognition every time he entered a place. The wisdom on his life eventually spoke for itself. And that is what is happening with you. There are people who still do not know what to call what they sense on you. They only know that your words stay with them. Your restraint makes them think. Your timing confuses them because you do not respond the way most people do. They expect you to defend yourself too quickly, reveal too much too early, or bend under pressure. But instead, you remain measured. You remain watchful. You remain rooted. Daniel chapter 2 verse 21 says, "He giveth wisdom unto the wise, and knowledge to them that know understanding." That verse reveals something essential. Wisdom is not just mental sharpness, and it is given. It flows from God into a life that stays open, humble, and aligned. That is why what you carry feels different from ordinary cleverness. It is not about having an answer for everything. It is about having a spirit that can recognize what matters, what is false, what is hidden, and what must be said when the right moment finally arrives. Your silence, then, it is not passive. It is active with perception. It is gathering what others overlook. It is protecting your energy from waste. It is allowing discernment to form before words are released. And when you do speak, people often fall quiet because they realize you were not absent from the moment at all. You were seeing it more fully than they were. This is one reason your wisdom leaves people speechless. They expect reaction, but you bring revelation. They expect impulsiveness, but you bring steadiness. They expect confusion, but you bring clarity. Even those who do not fully understand your source are forced to recognize the result. Something in your life reflects an order that cannot be manufactured. So do not mistake your quietness for lack. Do not let this world convince you that you must become louder to become stronger. What is forming in you is stronger precisely because it is anchored below the surface. Daniel did not shape history by noise. He shaped it by faithfulness, discernment, and wisdom that could not be denied. And in the same way, your silence is becoming a language of its own. It is speaking before you speak. It is revealing before you explain. It is preparing the ground for the kind of authority that does not need to force attention because its presence already commands it. What makes this even more striking is that the wisdom resting on your life cannot be explained by ordinary measures. People try to understand you through familiar categories. They look at your background, your age, your visible experience. The doors that opened for you, the doors that closed, the people you know, the titles you carry, the things you have survived. They examine what can be seen, hoping that something visible will fully explain what they feel when you speak, decide, or simply remain steady under pressure. But what unsettles them is the fact that the deepest thing about you does not come from what can be measured on the outside. That is why your inside often feels older than your years. It is why you can step into a situation, hear only a little, and still sense the true center of it. It is why you can recognize danger before it fully forms, peace before it fully settles, and deception before it fully reveals its face. People may call it intuition because they do not know what else to call it. But you know there is something deeper taking place. There is a wisdom in you that does not come from impulse. It does not come from ego. It does not come from the need to look impressive. It comes from having been shaped in hidden places where God taught your spirit how to hear. Daniel knew this kind of wisdom well. When the kingdom was troubled by mysteries no one could solve, Daniel did not respond as if wisdom were something he had to manufacture through panic. He understood that real understanding is received before it is expressed. Others were trapped in their own limitations because they relied only on what they already knew. But Daniel had learned to seek what heaven was saying beyond the reach of human reasoning. That is what separated him. It was not merely intelligence, it was access. This is where your life begins to make more sense. You have often been in situations where others rushed in circles while something in you stayed clear. You may not always have had every detail at first, but you felt the direction. You sensed where things were heading. You knew when a person's words did not match their spirit. You knew when a decision carried hidden consequences. You knew when a path that looked attractive on the surface was carrying confusion beneath it. And later, when everything unfolded and people looked back in disbelief because what you perceived quietly in the beginning became obvious to everyone in the end. That kind of wisdom leaves people speechless because it exposes how limited surface vision really is. Many are comfortable judging by appearances. They trust what is loud, polished, and immediate. They are impressed by speed. But divine wisdom is rarely hurried. It sees farther than the present moment. It is willing to wait because it understands timing. It is willing to remain silent because it knows that speaking too early can place a holy thing in the hands of those who do not know how to receive it. This is one of the reasons your path has sometimes felt lonely. You have been carrying clarity in places that were addicted to appearances. Daniel carried that same burden. He lived among rulers, advisors, and men of status. Yet again and again his wisdom outlasted theirs. Not because he tried harder to dominate them, but because truth has endurance. Human brilliance can dazzle for a moment, but divine wisdom remains standing when the moment passes. Daniel did not need to be the loudest man in the room to become the most trusted. He only needed to remain aligned with the source of wisdom. Over time, Even those in power had to admit that what rested on him could not be compared with what rested on others. And the same pattern is unfolding in your life. There are people who once overlooked you because you did not advertise yourself enough for their liking. There are people who assumed your stillness meant you lacked influence, only to realize later that your discernment was carrying more substance than their display ever could. There are people who spoke over you, dismissed you, or misunderstood your timing, and now they cannot understand how your words continue to prove true. This is what happens when wisdom is not borrowed from trends but rooted in God. It does not expire when opinions change. You are entering a deeper understanding of this now. You no longer need every person to recognize what is on your life before you believe it yourself. You no longer need to force your insight into rooms committed to noise. You are learning that wisdom becomes even more powerful when it is carried with peace. There is no need to strive when heaven has already marked you. There is no need to chase constant validation when your fruit will speak in due time. Daniel did not have to chase permanence. The wisdom on his life created it. This is also the moment to stay close to what nourishes your spirit. Protect the places where your clarity is strengthened. Guard the atmosphere around your mind. Be selective about the voices you allow to interpret your life. Some people do not have the capacity to understand what God is building in you. And if you let them speak too deeply into your process, they will try to reduce your wisdom to something more manageable for their comfort. But what God is forming in you was never meant to be reduced. It was meant to mature. And as this message continues to meet you where you are, let it settle in your heart that what makes you different is also what makes you effective. The wisdom you carry is not there to make you feel separate for the sake of pride. It is there because someone must remain clear when others are confused. Someone must remain rooted when others are shaken. Someone must be able to hear heaven without needing the approval of the crowd. That is part of your assignment. If this is speaking to your spirit in a real and personal way, let your quiet support become an act of agreement. You can like this message, share it with someone who needs confirmation, and subscribe so you stay connected to more words that strengthen your walk. And for those who feel led to support this work more deeply, there is also a way to donate through the description. Because what is rising in you now is not ordinary insight. It is wisdom with weight. It is discernment with purpose. It is the kind of inner clarity that does not need to force attention. Because when the time comes, even those who doubted will have no language left to deny what God has placed on your life. By now, you have already seen a pattern that many people around you still cannot understand. They test your spirit, and in doing so, they expose themselves. They approach you with hidden motives, with quiet envy, with the need to measure what is on your life against what is on theirs. And yet the moment they come too close, something begins to unravel. It is not because you are trying to defeat anyone. It is because truth has a way of making imitation unstable. When a person is rooted in appearances, they can keep their balance only as long as no deeper standard enters the room. But when real wisdom appears, the false has to work harder to maintain itself. You have lived through this more than once. Some people came smiling, but there was tension behind their kindness. Some asked questions, not because they wanted understanding, but because they wanted to find weakness. Some opened conversations hoping to trap you in contradiction, hoping to prove that your peace was only an act, that your insight was exaggerated, that your steadiness would crack under pressure. Yet what happened instead was often the opposite of what they expected. The more they pressed, the more your calm exposed their unrest. The more they tried to corner you, the more their own insecurity came into view. This is one of the difficult realities of carrying divine wisdom. It attracts both hunger and hostility. Those who truly seek truth feel safe around it. Those who are building themselves on false ground feel threatened by it. And sometimes the same person can feel both things at once. They admire what they sense in you, but they also resent the way your presence challenges the masks they have learned to survive behind. That inner conflict can make people act strangely around you. It can make them become competitive without reason, suspicious without cause, defensive without being attacked. They are not always reacting to what you did. They are reacting to what your presence reveals. Daniel understood this tension in a very real way. He was not merely surrounded by difficulty. He was surrounded by men who watched him closely, looking for a flaw. They could see that something on his life set him apart. And instead of receiving that difference with humility, many of them responded with jealousy. They studied him, not to learn from him, but to accuse him. They wanted to find some corruption in him, some inconsistency, some hidden weakness that would make him easier to reduce. But the more they searched, the more his integrity spoke for itself. That part of the story matters deeply for you because there are times when being tested feels personal, but it is often spiritual before it is personal. The pressure does not always come because you did something wrong. Sometimes it comes because what rests on your life is difficult for compromised people to stand near. They need you to be less clear so they can remain comfortable in confusion. They need you to react badly so they can justify their suspicion. They need you to become bitter so they can stop feeling convicted by your peace. But when you remain anchored, their strategy begins to fail. This is why your greatest response has often not been argument, but consistency. Not every attack deserves a long defense. Not every misunderstanding deserves your emotional energy. Not every challenge deserves access to your inner world. There is a kind of power in continuing to stand clean when others are looking for dirt. There is a kind of authority in refusing to bend your character just because someone else is hoping to see you break. Daniel carried that authority. He did not become lesser just because lesser minds surrounded him. He remained who he was before God, and that became his strength. You are learning this same lesson now. The battle is not always to prove yourself. Often the battle is to remain yourself. To remain clear without becoming proud. To remain open without becoming naive. To remain kind without becoming easy to manipulate. To remain discerning without slipping into suspicion. That balance is not weakness. It is maturity. It is the kind of wisdom that can survive testing because it is not built on emotion alone. It is built on alignment. And in that alignment, something else becomes clear. Many of the problems people face every day are not only spiritual in the dramatic sense, they are also practical. Foggy thinking, scattered focus, mental overload, constant stress, and the inability to slow the mind long enough to hear clearly can all make a person feel disconnected from the deeper wisdom they are trying to access. Sometimes the issue is not that a person has no potential. It is that their inner world has been pulled in too many directions for too long. They are exhausted, distracted, and mentally crowded. And that makes it harder to think clearly, create freely, solve problems, or settle into peace. That is why some people are drawn to tools that are presented as helping with focus, relaxation, creativity, and mental clarity. One product that is often described this way is the Genius Wave, also called Genius Song. It is presented as a short audio experience designed to support brainwave entrainment through sound, using ideas connected with theta and gamma states that are commonly associated with creativity, focus, intuition, and deep mental processing. It is marketed as something that may help people who feel mentally stuck, overstimulated, creatively blocked, or drained by stress, especially those who want a simple daily practice that does not require complicated routines. If that is something you want to explore, the safest approach is to check the official information in the description or pinned comment. Be careful of imitation pages, and only use the official source if you decide to try it. But beyond every test, every challenge, and every moment of pressure, the deeper truth remains the same. What God is building in you cannot be undone by the people who misunderstand it. Their scrutiny does not cancel your assignment. Their envy does not weaken your calling. Their attempts to expose you only reveal how little they understand the source of your strength. Because when wisdom is rooted in God, it does not collapse under examination. It becomes clearer. And that clarity is exactly what leaves them with nothing to say. What becomes even clearer as your journey unfolds is that discernment is not simply about seeing danger. It is also about seeing truth while it is still hidden from everyone else. Many people think discernment only shows up when something is wrong, when deception is near, when motives are mixed, or when the atmosphere feels heavy. But true discernment also reveals direction. It reveals timing. It reveals what must be protected, what must be released, and what must be understood before the next step can be taken. This is why your life has often felt different from the lives of people around you. You are not only reacting to events as they happen, you are often sensing what is forming long before it becomes visible. That can be a lonely kind of wisdom to carry. There have been moments when you knew something was not right, but you could not prove it yet. Moments when you felt that a path was not for you, even though others insisted it looked perfect. Moments when a person's words sounded smooth but your spirit remained unsettled. Moments when you sensed that delay was not rejection but protection. And because what you discerned was not yet obvious to the people around you, you had to stand in that knowing without a crowd to validate it. That is where spiritual maturity begins to deepen. It is easy to follow discernment when everyone agrees. It is far harder to trust what God is showing you when the evidence has not yet fully appeared. Daniel lived inside that kind of reality. Again and again, he stood in situations where the visible world was not telling the whole truth. The kingdoms around him looked stable until they were shaken. The men around him looked confident until their wisdom failed. The decisions of rulers looked powerful until heaven exposed their limits. Daniel's strength was not that he controlled these moments. His strength was that he could see beyond them. He understood that what appears strong can already be weakening, and what appears delayed can already be moving under the hand of God. That is what is happening in your life now. Your discernment is becoming more refined, not because life has become easier, but because you have been trained by pressure. You no longer confuse urgency with importance. You no longer assume every open door is meant for you. You no longer believe every compliment is pure or every criticism is accurate. Something in you has matured. You have learned to pause, to listen, to test, to weigh, and to wait until clarity settles. That kind of inward discipline is one reason your wisdom leaves people speechless. They are accustomed to reacting from emotion, but you have learned to respond from deeper sight. This deeper sight does not make you untouchable. It makes you responsible. When God gives discernment, He also gives the burden of using it well. That means you must resist the temptation to become hardened by what you see. It means you must not allow discernment to turn into pride. It means you must remain humble enough to let God keep refining your vision. Even Daniel, now with all the wisdom that rested on him, remained a man of prayer, dependence, and reverence. He did not treat insight as a personal trophy. He treated it as something entrusted. That is an important word for you in this hour. What you carry is real, but it must stay surrendered. The more clearly you see, the more deeply you must remain connected to God. Otherwise, discernment can become strain. You can begin to carry things you were only meant to notice. You can become weary from reading every atmosphere too intensely. You can start feeling responsible for fixing what you were only meant to understand. But divine wisdom does not ask you to control everything you perceive. It asks you to stay aligned, obedient, and clear about your part. Daniel chapter 1 verse 17 says, "As for these 4 children, God gave them knowledge and skill in all learning and wisdom, and Daniel had understanding in all visions and dreams." There is something profound in that verse. It does not say Daniel invented this understanding for himself. It says God gave it. That changes everything. It means wisdom is not merely self-improvement. It is impartation. It means understanding is not only the reward of effort, it is also grace. It means what has made you different cannot be explained only by personality, education, or experience. There is a giving of God in your life. There is something heaven has placed in you that continues to unfold as you walk faithfully. And because it has been given, it must also be guarded, not hidden in fear, but guarded in stewardship. You do not owe full access to everyone. You do not need to release every thought the moment it arrives. You do not need to prove your discernment by announcing everything you detect. Some things are meant to be prayed over before they are spoken. Some things are meant to guide your decisions quietly without becoming public declarations. Some truths are too early to be shared and too sacred to be handled carelessly. Daniel knew when to speak and when to keep his spirit anchored in silence until the appointed time. That timing was part of his wisdom too. This is one of the reasons people often cannot explain you. They sense that you know more than you say. They feel that you are perceiving more than you reveal. And that unsettles those who rely on control, because they cannot easily manipulate a person who is led by discernment. But this same quality brings peace to those who are sincere, because they recognize safety in a person who is not driven by impulse. They recognize depth in someone who does not need to be loud to be clear. So keep trusting what God is refining in you. The sharpening has not been wasted. The lonely lessons were not empty. The seasons of watching, waiting, and quietly learning the language of discernment were building something that the next chapter of your life will require. You are not becoming paranoid. You are becoming perceptive. You are not becoming distant. You are becoming careful with what is sacred. You are not losing softness. You are gaining clarity. And the same God who gave Daniel understanding is still able to steady your spirit, guide your vision, and deepen your wisdom until what once confused you can no longer move you. There is a reason your life has included seasons of separation that did not make sense while you were living through them. At the time, those seasons may have felt unfair. They may have felt like delay, silence, disconnection, or even abandonment. You may have wondered why certain relationships faded, why certain doors closed, why certain places stopped fitting your spirit, or why you were led into stretches of life where there seemed to be more questions than answers. But now you are beginning to understand that isolation was not always punishment. Very often, it was preparation. God has a way of removing His chosen ones from noise before He entrusts them with weight. He pulls them back from constant distraction before He sharpens their discernment. He allows them to experience lonely places so they can learn the difference between needing attention and carrying authority. Many people want influence, but they do not want the hidden training that makes influence safe. They want visibility before they have learned restraint. They want impact before they have learned obedience. But heaven does not build that way. Heaven develops the inner life first. This is why your solitary seasons mattered so much. In those moments when no one seemed to fully understand you, something essential was happening beneath the surface. You were learning how to hear without external applause. You were learning how to remain steady without constant reassurance. You were learning how to let truth strengthen you even when no one around you could confirm what God had spoken to your spirit. That is not a small thing. That is the making of inner authority. Daniel knew this hidden formation well. Even though his life eventually placed him in visible positions, the true strength of his wisdom was built in his private devotion to God. He did not suddenly become clear under pressure. He was clear because he had already been formed away from the pressure. He did not suddenly discover conviction when the test arrived. The conviction was already in him. Long before public moments revealed his faith, private consistency had anchored it. That is one reason his life carried such unusual weight. What people saw in public had already been settled in private. This should speak deeply to you because much of your strength has also been built in places no one applauded. It was built in tears no one witnessed. It was built in prayers you whispered when you had no language left for long speeches. It was built in disappointments that forced you to stop depending on the approval of people who could not carry the depth of your calling. It was built in silence, where your heart had to choose whether it would grow bitter or become wiser. And by the grace of God, wisdom kept forming in you. That does not mean those seasons were easy. Some of them cut deeply. Some of them stripped away illusions you once held about people, about timing, and even about yourself. Some of them showed you that not everyone who begins with you is meant to continue with you. Some of them revealed that being set apart can feel heavy before it feels holy. But the beauty of God's work is that He does not waste the hidden years. He uses them to carve stability into your spirit. He uses them to teach you what truly matters. He uses them to prepare you for rooms where shallow strength would fail. And now you are seeing the evidence. You are more grounded than you used to be. You do not chase every invitation. You do not panic at every delay. You do not surrender your peace as quickly as you once did. Your reactions have changed because your roots have gone deeper. There is a composure in you that only comes from having survived places where comfort could not sustain you. This is one reason people sometimes struggle to understand you now. They meet the calm version of you without knowing the wilderness that produced it. They see the steadiness, but they do not know the lonely conversations with God that made that steadiness possible. Daniel's life reminds you that private faithfulness always matters more than public spectacle. Kingdoms shifted around him. Leaders rose and fell. Threats came and went. But what remained constant was the inner place where Daniel stayed connected to God. That was his strength, not image, not performance, not human protection. Alignment. And that same lesson is living in you now. What preserves a chosen one is not popularity. It is consecration. It is the hidden agreement between your spirit and God's truth. This is why your lonely season should no longer be interpreted only as loss. Some of them were sacred classrooms. Some of them were walls of protection. Some of them were places where your soul was being detoxed from dependency on shallow affirmation. Some of them were where your discernment learned to breathe. Without those seasons, you might have gained access too early and lost clarity in the process. Without those seasons, you might have entered visible places with an unguarded spirit. Without those seasons, you might have mistaken attention for anointing. But God loved you too much to let that happen. So honor what was formed in private. Respect the process that built your depth. Do not resent the hidden years now that their fruit is beginning to appear. The quiet training was not empty. It was setting you apart for the next chapter of your life. And that next chapter will require exactly the kind of wisdom, restraint, and spiritual stamina those seasons produced. If this message is strengthening something deep within you, receive it fully and stay connected to this flow of truth. You can like this message. Share it with someone who has been walking through hidden preparation, and subscribe so you do not miss what comes next. And for those who want to support this work in a deeper way, there is also a donation option in the description, because what looked like isolation was often God building a foundation. What looked like silence was often God teaching you to hear. And what looked like being overlooked was often heaven protecting your process, until your spirit became strong enough to carry what is now beginning to rest on your life with undeniable weight. There comes a point in your journey when your presence begins to affect a room before your voice ever does. You do not have to announce yourself. You do not have to force attention. You do not have to prove that something unusual rests on your life. It becomes evident the moment you arrive. The atmosphere shifts. Conversations adjust, hidden tension starts moving. People who were comfortable in confusion begin to feel exposed, and people who have been longing for truth begin to breathe a little easier. This is not because you are trying to control the room. It is because light has an effect simply by being present. You have probably seen this happen without fully knowing how to describe it. There are places you enter where the energy changes immediately. People may become unusually quiet around you. Others may start speaking too much, revealing more than they intended. Some become respectful without understanding why. Others become defensive without any direct confrontation. What is happening in those moments is deeply spiritual. Your presence is disturbing what has been hiding in plain sight. Your clarity is challenging what has been surviving through disorder. Your discernment is making darkness feel watched. This is one of the reasons your life has not always felt easy. Carrying this kind of presence means you cannot enter many spaces unnoticed on a spiritual level. Even when you are trying to be simple, calm, and ordinary, there is still something in you that speaks. It is not always your words. It is the order you carry. It is the steadiness in your spirit. It is the fact that you do not easily blend into environments built on pretense. Your very existence creates contrast, and contrast always reveals what was hiding. Daniel knew this kind of effect well. He did not need to create chaos to disrupt darkness. He only needed to remain who he was before God. His life carried such consistency, such integrity, and such unmistakable wisdom that the people around him could not stay neutral. Some were drawn to the excellence resting on him. Others were irritated by it. Some recognized that God's hand was with him. Others only felt threatened that they could not manipulate him. But in every case, his presence forced a response. That same pattern is becoming visible in your life. You are not imagining the tension you sometimes feel when you walk into certain places. You are not being dramatic when you sense resistance from people who have barely interacted with you. Often, they are reacting to what your spirit represents. Your presence becomes a kind of interruption to what they have tried to normalize. Where there is gossip, your spirit can make it uncomfortable. Where there is deception, your calm can begin to expose it. Where there is hidden competition, Your peace can reveal how unstable it really is. And where there is sincerity, your presence can strengthen it. This does not mean you are called to carry yourself with arrogance. In fact, arrogance would weaken the very authority God is building in you. The power is not in trying to appear spiritually important. The power is in remaining aligned. Daniel's influence did not come from self-promotion. It came from consistency before God. He was the same in private and in public. He was the same under pressure and in peace. He was the same when favored and when targeted. That consistency made his life dangerous to darkness because darkness depends on double-mindedness, compromise, and inner confusion. Daniel gave it none of those things. And that is the invitation before you now. Protect your alignment. Do not let the reactions of others pull you into a lower posture. Do not become harsh because some people misread your depth. Do not become performative because others want a spectacle from you. Do not explain yourself endlessly to people whose discomfort comes from conviction, not confusion. Remain rooted. Remain clean in spirit. Remain steady in truth. The authority on your life grows stronger when it is carried with peace. Daniel chapter 6 verse 3 says, "Then this Daniel was preferred above the presidents and princes because an excellent spirit was in him." That phrase matters deeply because an excellent spirit is not the same as talent alone. It is not charm. It is not image. It is not the ability to impress. It is a quality of inner life. It is what happens when a person has been shaped by reverence, discipline, wisdom, and faithfulness over time. That excellent spirit is what people are sensing in you when they cannot fully explain why they are affected by your presence. They may call it wisdom. They may call it depth. They may call it strength. But beneath all of those words is something more sacred. It is the evidence of a life being governed by God. This is why darkness reacts, not because it is stronger than you, but because it recognizes a threat to its hiding place. Disorder can survive around people who are inwardly divided. Falsehood can stay comfortable around those who do not discern. Manipulation can thrive where there is insecurity and spiritual sleep. But when someone enters carrying clarity, restraint, and quiet authority, what is hidden begins to lose stability. That is what your life is doing now. You are not just growing in wisdom for yourself. You are becoming a living disruption to confusion. So do not resent the effect you have when it is rooted in truth. Learn to steward it humbly. Learn to move without fear when others become uneasy. Learn to recognize that not every negative reaction means you have done something wrong. Sometimes it means what is false has recognized what is real. Sometimes it means your peace has become an unwelcome mirror to restless people. Sometimes it means the excellent spirit God is forming in you has become too visible to ignore. And that visibility will only deepen as you continue to walk in alignment. The atmosphere will keep changing around you. Hidden things will keep surfacing. Doors meant for you will keep opening, and masks not meant to survive near your calling will keep falling. Because when God places an excellent spirit on a life, even silence becomes weighty. Even stillness becomes disruptive. And even simple presence becomes enough to make darkness step back and reveal itself. By this point, it is no longer difficult for people to feel that there is something on your life they cannot easily explain. Some of them call it strength. Some call it depth. Some call it wisdom. Others never say it aloud, but they feel it the moment they are near you. There is a weight in your presence that does not come from force, and there is a dignity in your spirit that does not need permission from the room. This creates a strange tension in the people around you. because what they feel is both attractive and unsettling at the same time. They respect what they cannot control, but they also fear what they cannot reduce. You have likely noticed this in ways that seemed confusing at first. There are people who admire you, but never fully relax around you. There are people who praise your insight, yet keep a certain distance because something in them knows you can see more than they say. There are people who listen closely when you speak, then pull back because your words continue echoing in them long after the conversation ends. It is not that you are trying to create this effect. It is simply what happens when a life carries substance in a world that has become accustomed to surfaces. Daniel walked in that same tension. The kings around him valued him because they could not deny the wisdom on his life. His enemies watched him because they could not find a weakness that would make him easier to dismiss. He was both respected and targeted, honored and tested, elevated and opposed. That combination tells you something important. When divine wisdom rests on a person, the reaction it creates will rarely be simple. Truth draws the hungry, but it also troubles the compromised. Light comforts those who want clarity, but it unsettles those who depend on shadows. This helps explain many of the reactions you have received through the years. Some people never hated you for any obvious reason. They simply could not settle themselves around what your life reflected back to them. Some did not know whether to move closer or stay away. Some wanted your insight, but not the self-examination that might follow from receiving it. Some respected your spirit, but feared what would happen if they became fully honest in your presence. That is why your path has often felt unusual. You have been carrying a weight that makes casual relationships difficult and shallow spaces uncomfortable. And yet, this is not a reason to shrink. It is a reason to understand your calling more clearly. You are not here to become easier for deception to live around. You are not here to dull your discernment so everyone feels equally comfortable. You are not here to apologize for the peace, wisdom, and spiritual weight God has formed in you through hidden seasons. Those things were costly. They were built through prayer, pressure, disappointment, surrender, and refinement. The very qualities that make others pause are often the same qualities that God will use to steady and guide and protect those assigned to your influence. Daniel did not become smaller because others were intimidated by what rested on him. He remained faithful. He remained clear. He remained anchored in God. That is what made his life so powerful. The fear and respect he carried were not produced by manipulation. They were produced by consistency. People knew he was not easily moved by flattery, fear, pressure, or hidden agendas. They knew there was an order in him that could not be bought. In a world where so many people bend for gain, that kind of stability becomes almost shocking. You are growing into that same kind of stability now. There was a time when other people's reactions may have made you question yourself. You may have wondered if you were too intense, too quiet, too discerning, too hard to access, too unlike everyone else. But maturity is teaching you that what is rare often gets misread before it gets recognized. People are comfortable with what they can categorize quickly. They are less comfortable with what carries mystery on depth and conviction. Yet that does not make your difference a problem. It makes it a sign. Daniel chapter 5 verse 12 says that an excellent spirit and knowledge and understanding, interpreting of dreams and showing of hard sentences and dissolving of doubts were found in Daniel. That last phrase is especially important. Dissolving of doubts. This is one of the ways your wisdom affects people. You carry a presence that clears confusion, not because you always speak constantly, and not because you always explain everything in detail, but because something in your spirit cuts through fog when others are tangled in fear, overthinking, and mixed motives. Your clarity begins to separate what matters from what does not. That kind of gift can inspire deep respect in sincere hearts, but in people who are invested in confusion, it can also create fear. So when you notice that strange mixture in the way people respond to you, do not be surprised. Some are feeling the holiness of what they cannot fully name. Some are reacting to the order your spirit carries. Some are realizing that your life cannot be manipulated with the usual tools. And some are simply standing before a wisdom that forces them to confront how much of their own life has been built on unstable ground. The answer is not to become colder. The answer is to become clearer. Keep your heart soft before God and your spirit strong in truth. Let humility protect you from pride. Let discernment protect you from foolish trust. Let peace protect you from the urge to prove yourself. The more grounded you become, the more naturally this balance of fear and respect will surround your life. It is not about making people afraid of you. It is about carrying yourself in such alignment that what is false cannot feel fully safe around you, while what is sincere recognizes a place of wisdom and refuge. If this speaks for you, comment "God knows," because the same God who formed this weight in Daniel is still shaping it in you. He is teaching your presence to speak without striving. He is teaching your wisdom to stand without begging for recognition. He is teaching your spirit to carry authority without losing tenderness. And as that work continues, people will keep sensing what they cannot easily explain. They will know you are not common. They will know something rare rests on your life. They will know that what God has formed in you is not easily copied, not easily shaken, and not easily forgotten. There comes a moment when you can no longer deny what your journey has been trying to teach you all along. You were never meant to live as a copy. You were never designed to follow a path that could be duplicated by whoever happened to stand near you. What God has written into your life carries a pattern that is too specific, too costly, and too intentional to be reproduced by imitation. People may study your calm. They may admire your wisdom. They may try to mirror your language, your discipline, your restraint, or the way you move through pressure without collapsing. But they cannot become you by copying what they see on the surface. Because the deepest parts of your life were formed in places they did not walk through. This is why your path has often felt solitary, even when you were surrounded by people. There was always something in your story that could not be fully shared. Others could witness pieces of it, but they could not completely enter the inner shaping that was taking place between you and God. They did not feel every delay the way you felt it. They did not carry every burden the way you carried it. They did not endure the same testing, the same refinement, the same long seasons where heaven seemed quiet while your spirit was being made stronger underneath the silence. What they may now admire as wisdom was not handed to you cheaply. It was carved into you. Daniel's life makes this truth impossible to ignore. There were many educated men around him. There were many officials, advisors, and leaders moving through the same kingdom. There were many who wanted access, prestige, and the favor of kings. But Daniel stood apart because what rested on his life could not be produced through ambition. It could not be learned as a performance. It could not be assembled by cleverness. His distinction came from consecration, from faithfulness, from an inner life shaped by God over time. Others could witness the result, but they could not manufacture the source. That speaks directly to you now. One of the reasons people are left speechless around your wisdom is because something in them realizes it does not come from a formula. They may want to explain it as talent, instinct, or personality. But none of those words can fully hold what they are witnessing. Your life carries fingerprints of God. Your insight is not merely a mental gift. It is connected to process, surrender, pressure, and divine shaping. That is why it has weight. That is why it leaves an impression. That is why it cannot be casually replaced. There may have been times when you compared yourself to others and wondered whether your difference was making life harder than it needed to be. You may have watched people move faster, gather more attention, receive easier recognition, or fit more naturally into systems that never seemed built for someone like you. But what you did not always see in those moments is that easier is not the same as deeper, and faster is not the same as truer. God was not building a common story in your life. He was building one that could carry unusual wisdom without collapsing under its own weight. This is why you must stop measuring your calling by how easily others seem to move. Their road is not your road. Their assignments are not your assignments. Their preparation is not your preparation. Daniel could not have become what he was by trying to resemble the men around him. In fact, the very thing that set him apart was his refusal to let the surrounding culture rewrite his inner identity. He lived in powerful environments, but those environments did not own his spirit. He learned how to remain present without becoming absorbed, influential without becoming corrupted, visible without becoming dependent on visibility. That is part of what made him one of one. The same is true for you. Your uniqueness is not an accident that needs to be softened. It is a sacred design that needs to be honored. The wisdom on your life was placed there with precision. The path you have taken has trained you in ways that only your future will fully explain. Even the parts of your story that once looked broken, delayed, hidden, or confusing have been woven into the making of your authority. Nothing has been wasted. The pressure taught you endurance. The silence taught you hearing. The loneliness taught you dependence on God. The misunderstandings taught you not to build your identity on human approval. And all of it together formed a life that cannot be duplicated. Daniel chapter 6 verse 4 says, "They could find none occasion nor fault for as much as he was faithful." That verse reveals something essential about true distinction. It is not built on spectacle. It is built on faithfulness. What made Daniel stand apart was not only what he knew, but who he was when tested. That is where your difference becomes undeniable as well. It is one thing to appear wise when conditions are easy. It is another thing to remain clear, steady, and faithful when people are watching for your weakness. It is one thing to sound deep for a moment. It is another thing to carry integrity long enough that even your critics are forced to admit there is something uncommon about your life. This is why you are one of one. Not because no one else has gifts, not because no one else has a calling, but because no one else has your exact shaping, your exact history with God, your exact pattern of breaking and building, your exact mixture of discernment, scars, lessons, and spiritual weight. No one else can stand in the precise place you were formed to occupy. No one else can carry your assignment in exactly the way you were meant to carry it. What is yours will require your voice and your obedience, your wisdom, and your surrender. So let this settle deeply now. You do not need to imitate in order to matter. You do not need to compete in order to become. You do not need to force yourself into molds that were never designed to hold your calling. Your life bears a rare seal. Your wisdom carries a distinct sound. Your path has been authored with intention. And as you continue to walk in that truth, the people around you will keep recognizing what they may not be able to explain. They will see that your clarity is different. They will feel that your peace is different. They will know that your strength is different. And whether they celebrate it, fear it, resist it, or respect it, the truth will remain the same. You are not a duplicate. You are not replaceable. You are not one more voice in the crowd. You are one of one by divine design. Now you arrive at the place where everything that has been building inside you must be received fully and walked out boldly. This is not the hour to keep doubting what God has already made clear. This is not the season to keep shrinking so that people with smaller vision can feel more comfortable around your calling. This is not the moment to keep pretending that what rests on your life is ordinary, explainable, or easily duplicated. You have come too far through too many hidden lessons, too many refining fires, too many nights of quiet formation, and too many moments of spiritual testing to keep treating your assignment like something casual. The truth has been speaking to you all through this journey. Your wisdom is not accidental. Your discernment is not random. Your difference is not a flaw. The weight people feel when they encounter you is not something you imagined. It is the evidence of a life that has been touched, trained, and marked by God. And as you step into this next level of understanding, you must stop making peace with smaller definitions of yourself. You are not here to be a shadow of what you could be. You are not here to live beneath the measure of grace placed on your life. You are here to walk in divine authority with humility, clarity, and courage. That authority is not loud in the way the world expects. It is not arrogance. It is not domination. It is not the need to prove that you are important. Divine authority is something steadier and holier than that. It is the settled knowing that God has gone ahead of you. It is the inner agreement that you no longer belong to fear, confusion, or constant self-betrayal. It is the grace to stand where God has placed you without endlessly apologizing for the weight of your presence. It is the freedom to obey even when others misunderstand the path you are taking. And it is the maturity to know that your authority is safest when it remains surrendered. Daniel understood this. He moved through kingdoms without losing himself. He carried favor without worshiping position. He held wisdom without turning it into pride. He stood firm under pressure because his heart had already been settled before God. That is the picture now set before you. You are being called into a steadier walk, not a perfect performance, but a truer alignment. Not a louder image, but a deeper confidence. Not a life free from challenge, but a spirit no longer ruled by what challenge tries to awaken in you. So from this point forward, let your steps reflect what heaven has already spoken. Let your choices begin to match the maturity God has been building in secret. Let your mind come out of agreement with every voice that told you to minimize your depth, silence your gift, or distrust the wisdom that has been formed in you through suffering and surrender. You have outgrown the need to fit into spaces that require you to betray your spirit. You have outgrown the fear of being different. You have outgrown the old temptation to seek belonging at the cost of truth. And because this is not only about information but transformation, let this become a prayer rising naturally from your heart. Father, thank you for every hidden season that shaped me when I did not understand what you were doing. Thank you for every closed door that protected me, every lonely place that trained me, every test that revealed what you placed inside me, and every moment your wisdom held me together when I could not fully explain what I was carrying. Thank you for marking my life with purpose even before I could recognize it. Thank you for the discernment you have been deepening, the strength you have been refining, and the authority you have been teaching me to carry with humility. Lord, let every false label fall away. Let every lie of unworthiness, confusion, fear, and comparison lose its grip. Strengthen my inner life so that I do not shrink from what you have called me to become. Keep my spirit clean, my heart soft, my mind clear, and my steps aligned with truth. Teach me to carry wisdom without pride, boldness without hardness, and discernment without fear. Where I have been wounded, heal me. Where I have doubted, steady me. Where I have delayed in obedience, awaken me. And where you are calling me higher, give me the courage to say yes without hesitation. Let my life reflect your order, your peace, and your presence so clearly that no counterfeit assignment can take root in me. In your strength, let me walk as who you say I am. Amen. Let that prayer remain with you, because this next chapter is not about becoming someone artificial. It is about becoming more fully aligned with who God has already been forming in you. The authority you need is not somewhere far away. It is being awakened through surrender. The clarity you need is not being withheld from you. It grows stronger as you continue choosing truth over distraction. The courage you need is not absent. It rises when your spirit stops negotiating with fear. You are ready for more than survival now. You are ready to lead with wisdom. You are ready to carry peace into unstable places. You are ready to stop second-guessing the light on your life every time darkness reacts to it. You are ready to trust that what God built in you through long preparation will hold when new doors open. This is the hour to stand in holy confidence, not because you know everything, but because you know the one who has guided you this far and will not abandon the work of his own hands. And as this message settles into you, let your response be simple and sincere. If this word has met you in a deep place, you can like this message, share it with someone who needs confirmation, and subscribe so you remain connected to more words that strengthen your spiritual walk. And if you want to support this work in a deeper way, there is also a donation link in the description. Walk forward now with your spirit lifted. Walk forward with your discernment honored. Walk forward with your peace protected. Walk forward with the understanding that what God has formed in you is rare, deliberate, and needed in this generation. Your wisdom will keep speaking. Your presence will keep shifting atmospheres. Your obedience will keep opening what man cannot shut. And the same God who marked you from the beginning will continue to establish you, guide you, and use your life in ways that leave no doubt that you were chosen for this exact time.